Good evening, everyone. Welcome. This is the May 22nd, 2024 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor. Pleased to have you all here with me. We have a few items that we will be doing at the front end of the meeting, and after that we'll be getting to our open forum. The open forum is that portion of the town board meeting where residents, the public, you don't have to be a resident, the public, can come in and speak with us, share their comments with the town board. When we get there, I will give you some guidelines for how the open forum works. But what I will say right now is if you're going to want to speak during the open forum, or for that matter during the one public hearing we have tonight, which relates to the removal of some trees, and you're watching the meeting remotely, you will have to go to the Zoom meeting. If you're not already on Zoom watching us, we will give you the opportunity to join us from Zoom when we get there. But in any event, we'll get to that in a minute. We have for many years been making our meetings accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing community with our ASL interpreters, and we don't have our regular ASL interpreters tonight, and I know I have their names here somewhere. My apologies, but thank you for being here with us tonight. It means a lot having those interpreters with us. If you are here in person, all of the materials we will be working from tonight, the agenda and all the proposed resolutions, as well as the backup material, are on the back table. If you are watching us remotely, all of that same material is available on the town's webpage. If you are able to rise, please join me in doing so, and I will ask Councilmember Salzman to lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight we have three proclamations issued by the town board, and I'm going to start by inviting Dennis Mites from Brighton Volunteer Ambulance to join me at the podium. Dennis wears a lot of hats with the town. In his spare time, he's also our zoning board chair. So Dennis spends a lot of time in this room, even when he's not receiving proclamations. But 50 years ago, National EMS Week was first observed in the United States, Emergency Medical Services Week. This past Sunday, BVA held their annual open house, and we had a nice ceremony presenting a proclamation there. But I wanted to repeat it tonight so that the entire community could see and hear. Hopefully none of you have to use this incredible organization that is BVA, but if you do, you know what a great job they do, how important the work of our EMS professionals with BVA is for the health and safety of our community. So I want to thank you, Dennis, not only for being here with us tonight, of course, but for all the work that you do day in and day out, you and the BVA team. It really is extraordinary. Whereas the town of Brighton is committed to the safety of its citizens and recognizes that emergency medical service is a necessary public service, the value of which must never be diminished. Whereas the member of EMS teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, dramatically improving the survival and recovery rates of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas this week marks the 50th anniversary of EMS Week, and this year's theme, Honoring Our Past, Forging Our Future, reminds us to acknowledge the foundational work of those who came before us while striving to build and lead the EMS system we envision for our future. Whereas today we honor Brighton Volunteer Ambulance, which has served the town of Brighton since 1986, so most of those 50 years, serving since 1956 in partnership with our police department and our fire departments. And BVA provides the highest quality EMS care and community support programs. And whereas whether career or volunteer, BVA workers engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills for the benefit of all the people in Brighton. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and on behalf of all of the members of the Brighton Town Board, do hereby recognize May 19th through May 25th, 2024 as Emergency Medical Services Week in the town of Brighton, and commend Brighton Volunteer Ambulance for their unfailing commitment to quality service and determination to rise to every challenge. And this proclamation is signed the 22nd day of May, 2024. Dennis, again, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll present you, we'll do a little photo
Okay.
here.
Very good.
And then the podium, the microphone is yours.
There's Bridget. Good? Okay, thank you. I know we have a lot of expensive lawyers that I recognize in the crowd, so I'll try to make it brief so we, don't run the meter up too high tonight. Okay. All right. But anyway, thank you very much for this bill and the town board. Just so you know, we have probably about 80 people, support people, volunteers, career staff that make BVA go. This year, here's a nice sticker shock number, we will exceed 9,000 calls. So that's almost 30 some a day. So it's very busy, and we expect it to continue rising. So the support of the town is great. We've had it back the early 90s when Sandy was here and Bill in his other role, and it's been great. You know, we all get along nicely and work together nicely with Dave and his people and the fire department and everybody else. So, yeah, I think Brighton is lucky to have a great public safety system, and you know, it helps with the quality of life. Just on another note, I was asked about a month ago to help up in Webster. I don't know if many of you saw on TV, the EMS system fell apart up in the town of Webster. And the town had to really educate themselves, and they have a temporary agreement right now, but I was asked to be on the committee to help kind of revive that. And it really struck me that they were 360 degrees away from us here, and so I'm glad to help them, but you know, it's an important thing to have the support of the town, and it means a lot, you know, to all residents. So I thank you all again. Have a good evening.
And boy, Dennis is right. That was a great reminder that we can't take emergency medical services, particularly at the caliber that BVA provides them here in Brighton. We can't take that for granted. I will never forget a very significant accident that took place here in the town of Brighton not long after I became supervisor, and watching all the agencies, BVA, the police, other communities, agencies, watching them work seamlessly, at least to my civilian eye, watching them work seamlessly, and then just fascinated by the debriefing afterwards, where, you know, they so granularly critiqued the response and how they handled it. But it was something you're not going to see everywhere, and it's a credit, Dennis, to you, to the police, to the fire department, really everyone that is committed to the safety of this community. Next, I will invite Meredith Dragon to join me at the podium.
Do you have my step stool?
Good evening.
Hi.
The month of May is Jewish American Heritage Month, which was established to recognize the many achievements and contributions made by members of the Jewish community. And as we know very well here in Brighton, those achievements and contributions are many and great, and we are really appreciative, grateful, and this is an opportunity to recognize the many ways that the Jewish community, Jewish organizations in this community contribute to the quality of life in Brighton and in the greater Rochester area. In particular, the Jewish Federation of Greater Rochester, serves both the Jewish community and the broader community with cultural and charitable activities, as well as important security work to protect the Jewish community and work to stop anti-Semitism. And I am so pleased that you, Meredith Dragon, Executive Director of the Jewish Federation, wow.
We have a foundation, it's okay.
Yes, you do. Jewish Federation of Greater Rochester, that Meredith is here to accept this proclamation recognizing Jewish Heritage Month, Jewish American Heritage Month, which I will now read. Whereas, for over 350 years, Jewish Americans have contributed to the American landscape, helping shape our values and strengthening foundational tenets of our democracy, including freedom of religion. And whereas the story of the Jewish people is one of resilience, faith, and hope in the face of adversity, prejudice, and persecution, and that endurance has been woven into the fabric of this country. And whereas the town of Brighton is proud to be home to a majority of the Jewish people in the county of Monroe, and we embrace the great contributions their history and culture, organizations, and community activism have all had on our town. And whereas the Jewish Federation of Greater Rochester has been a true pillar of the community, working to build a strong Jewish future in Rochester through philanthropy, engagement, education, and advocacy. And whereas among its many commitments, the Jewish Federation helps meet people's basic needs, including food and employment, supports the Center for Holocaust Awareness and Information, which preserves and shares stories of local survivors of the Holocaust, and strives to ensure the safety and security of the entire Jewish community. And whereas as we celebrate the enduring heritage of Jewish Americans, we are reminded that the struggle for justice, equality, and freedom is not over. And as we witness the terrible increase of anti-Semitism in the United States, we must recommit to standing against anti-Semitism wherever it may occur. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, on behalf of the members of the Brighton Town Council, do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Jewish American Heritage Month in the town of Brighton. We thank the Jewish Federation of Greater Rochester for its strong, positive impact and urge the residents of our community to stand together in peace, reject hatred and ignorance, and learn more about the many important roles that Jews have played in our community. And this proclamation is signed the 22nd day of May, 2024, by myself and by my colleagues on the town board. Meredith, very pleased to present this to you. Would you like to, well, first let's do the photo op. Height differential or not.
If that's okay.
And then if you'd like to
Sure,
say a few
yeah.
words, we'd love to.
I've never been at a loss for words, Bill. Thank you. I will be brief. I want to say thank you for this. In this particular moment in time, this is incredibly meaningful, both to recognize Jewish American Heritage Month and to accept this on behalf of our Jewish Federation is deeply, deeply meaningful. I want to remind everybody that despite the incredible surge that we've seen in anti-Semitism in the last year and in the last number of years, there has been no country that has allowed the Jewish world to thrive more as immigrants than the United States, obviously other than the state of Israel. But the Jewish community's history in the United States goes back long before that history. And we as American Jews have been able to live and thrive in the United States in a way that we've never been able to thrive anyplace else in the world. It's part of the reason why in the moment the community feels so frayed around the edges, because we've never had to contend with a time like this before. I also want to say that we have many, as you mentioned, Bill, we have many Holocaust survivors in our community. There's still 100 here. And we lost one this week who was really a pillar of our community, Warren Heilbrenner. He was near and dear to many of us, and his funeral was today. He was a member of the Federation Board, and I know he would have been very proud of this. So I wanted to accept this in memory of Warren and all that he did on behalf of Federation and our Jewish community and so many other institutions that benefited from his generosity, his spirit, and his thoughtfulness. So thank you for this on this very, very special day, Bill. Thank you.
And Meredith, you're so right. Yes, there are a few lawyers in the room, and probably most, if not all of us, knew Warren Heilbrenner, and mourn his loss today. It is a great loss for the community. Now, our last proclamation tonight is a little belated, but no less sincere or important, and I'm going to invite Chief Cathaldi to join me. Thank you, Chief. Hey, Bill. National Police Week was observed during the week of May 12th through May 18th. And the week affords us the opportunity to say once again, as I say over and over because it's true, that there is no finer, more professional, or more community-minded law enforcement agency in New York than the Brighton Police Department. Members of the town board and I, the town clerk, all had the opportunity to attend the Brighton Police Department Awards Dinner, which was held during Police Week. And that dinner always gives us the opportunity to thank not only individual police officers, but also civilians who go above and beyond, sometimes in remarkable ways, to help keep Brighton and our residents safe. This year's dinner, I thought, was particularly special. We recognized not only officers from the Brighton Police Department, but we also had officers from the state police, New York State Police involved, and recognized other law enforcement agencies, particularly from the New York City area, all involved in the recent disappearance and ultimate return of a young 14-year-old Brighton resident. They gave extraordinary effort, not stopping for a minute until she was found and returned home. And that is so indicative of what the Brighton police are committed to doing, but it really speaks volumes about law enforcement in general, how important and how successful that work was. So let me read this proclamation. Whereas since 1962, National Police Week has been celebrated to recognize and honor police officers and pay special tribute to those who have lost their lives in the line of duty. Whereas the important work of our police and their resolute commitment to duty is always evident and greatly needed as we continue the difficult social transition away from the pandemic and into a tumultuous landscape too often fraught with increasingly brash criminal acts. Whereas we remember all the officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty, and we especially honor Syracuse police officer Michael Jensen and Onondaga County Sheriff Lieutenant Michael Husuk, who were killed little more than a month ago upon approaching a suspect's home. And whereas regardless of danger, police work directly with the community, knowing that they may find themselves in peril at any moment. And yet, recognizing that the Brighton Police Department still approaches every call with a high level of professionalism, serving this community with respect, dedication, and determination. And whereas we are proud of our Brighton police officers for their commitment to community-based policing, their work on recognizing and addressing mental health issues in a safe and productive manner, and dedication to serving this community every night and day. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and on behalf of all of the members of the Brighton Town Council, do hereby proclaim and recognize, albeit a couple of days late, May 12th through May 18th as National Police Week in the town of Brighton. And we sincerely thank our police officers for all the sacrifices they make in keeping us safe. And this proclamation is signed the 22nd day of May, 2024, by myself and by my colleagues on the town board. Chief, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
We'll do a little pose here again. Wonderful, and the podium is yours.
Oh, thank you. Well, Dennis, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's the partnerships that we have, not only with you, the fire department, and you got to witness firsthand the good work of the men and women of the Brighton Police Department a week and a half ago, as well as you, Chris. You know, I can't say enough good things about them. A few years ago, when we did our community-wide survey, we took that to the next step. And in the town of Brighton, if you call 911, you'll get a survey sent to your phone, and you can enter a couple codes in there, and there's 3 questions that are asked of you, and it's basically how well the police department did. And I just received a report. I wasn't going to read this, but I'm going to read a few of these. Just so you don't think I'm making it up, Bill, you can read right along with me. This is just a small sample. Thank you for your service and sacrifice. I appreciate the assistance and attention given to me at the open house being held, I won't say the address, but yesterday. Officer Wilcox is awesome. Officer Barcelos is amazing. She handled the situation very well and made us feel safe. She was great, very nice and empathetic. Came in a timely manner, very respectful, and didn't hesitate to see what was going on. Great job, fast and professional. Thank you for being there. Thank you for all you do. Brighton Police handled the situation quickly and efficiently. Officer Needham was fantastic, called me for more information, and tried to resolve the incident. That's just a small sample of what the men and women of the Brighton Police Department do on a daily basis. I get these reports every other week, and it's about a 90, I can't move my cursor, but it's about a 90, the citizen positive satisfaction rate, 97.8%. So pretty near perfect. So I'm very proud of the men and women.
Thank you, Chief. Please share, everyone in this room, the appreciation that we have to all of your officers and the civilian. You know, it couldn't run without the civilian staff as well. So
and I appreciate all the town board does. You know, every time I ask for something, you willingly give, and you're part of making this a great police department as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have a presentation on the Town of Brighton's audited financial statements presented by Mike DeBatz, who is a partner at MMB. Mike, podium is yours. You're not, I know you're not projecting anything tonight, is that right? So,
Nope,
good.
nope, just an update. First of all, I'm not a lawyer. No offense to any of those that are in the room tonight. But I met with the Finance and Administrative Services Committee last week to go over the financial statements and in some more detail. So I'm just here tonight to give a quick overview. To the community. a high-level overview about all the good things I went over with the FAST committee last week. Overall, you know, if people want to know how you did financially for the year, the total general fund balance did increase by just over $800,000 last year, largely due to savings related to some difficulties filling some open positions and vehicles being back ordered and things like that. So there was an increase there, in addition to some unforeseen interest earnings were the big contributors to the large increase in fund balance we see there. Couple other financial highlights that we went over. The fire fund is now officially closed after a couple years liquidating that. And then most of the rest of the operating funds had small increases, which is pretty typical for what we see or what we would hope to see anyway when we come in and do an audit. So all good news there. We didn't have any findings operationally in our management letter. No weaknesses in internal control or anything were noted there. And in addition to the financial statement audits, we also prepared some reports and did some procedures over activities at the town clerk's office, the receiver of taxes, and the justice court as well. And again, all of our procedures had no findings in those separate audits as well. So, you know, from an audit standpoint, all very good news for the town of Brighton this year, especially considering the significant turnover that the town experienced in the finance office. You know, a lot of experience with the town walked out the door during the 2023 year, and new folks were brought in, but everything continued to operate very effectively, as evidenced by no findings in the report. You know, and we still were on the same relative timelines to get everything done and get the audit completed and come meet with you folks tonight. And then just one more thing. You know, as far as the condition of the town really, I looked at the comptroller's fiscal stress monitoring system as I was getting ready for the meeting, and the town has 0 points.
Perfect score.
Perfect, yeah, as good as you can get, both on the environmental factors as well as the operational factors. So that's great news, and you know, nobody has a crystal ball, but you know, the town seems to be pretty well suited if we do come into any turbulent times in these next few years. But obviously, you know, keep an eye on how those things go, and we'll be back to report on 24.
Great.
Any questions from you folks before I get out of here? All right, well, thank you for your time, and thank you for the opportunity to work with you.
Thank you, Mike. You know, you talk about, you know, you never know when tough times are going to come. Obviously, the pandemic was a reminder of that, and the strength that we had coming into the pandemic helped make sure that we were able to get through a very, you know, time of deep uncertainty in so many ways, but certainly in part financial, coming through it with the strength that we have today. And in no small part, you referenced two wonderful people who retired during the past year, Paula Parker, our former director, and Suzanne Zaso, our former deputy. But you know, we've been able to replace them with two very well qualified people, Earl Johnson and Marcia Adams, who just stepped right in seamlessly. And so we're going strong and continuing to try to stay ahead of the curve. And you know, it's a great opportunity. You know, the fiscal stability that we've shown doesn't happen by accident. Here we are in the middle of 2024. We're receiving our final reports on our financial activities for 2023, and I will note that once we have those final audit materials, they will be going up on our webpage. But even as we're looking back at 2023, we have already begun the process of budgeting for 2025, and in fact, all of our department heads, one of the things we do every year is prepare a 3-year capital improvement plan. And that really becomes a very effective roadmap for our large capital expenditures, whether they're going to be funded by bond issuance or grants or some other source. We are right now, and in fact, I think all of our department heads have finished their 25 through 27 proposed capital improvement plans. So we will be reviewing that shortly with our budget review task force, as we do every year, with our finance committee, and then later this year, the full town board. So we finished one year and we've already started the next, and we are responsible for the day-to-day activities of the year that we're currently in. And we really couldn't do that without the great advice we get from your firm. So thank you.
Thank you, and that's the best thing you can do to help when you do have a transition, is to already have a plan in place. So keep it up. And,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike. Okay, we will now begin the open forum portion of our meeting. The open forum we hold at the beginning of every town board meeting, and actually we do at the beginning of our committee meetings as well. The open forum is an opportunity for members of the public to address the town board relating to any matter relating to the town. It may be an item on our agenda tonight, but it doesn't need to be. I would note, though, that if you're here to speak about the public hearing on the tree removal, I would encourage you to wait until that public hearing is called so your comments will be part of the record. But in any event, if you would like to speak during the open forum and you're here in person, please raise your hand. When I call on you, please come up to the podium to speak. If you're participating in the meeting remotely, again, please make sure you're on Zoom. Once the people here in the room have had an opportunity to speak, we'll look to see if there's anybody on Zoom. If you're there, I would ask you to use the raised hand function, and then our host will admit you and unmute you and give you the opportunity to speak. If you're here to speak in the open forum, in person or on Zoom, I would ask you to state your name and address before speaking. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. I will give you a 30-second warning before your time expires. We may not be able to answer questions that you have tonight, particularly if your question relates to a matter that's not on the agenda of tonight's hearing. But our goal tonight and every night that we do this is to give you an opportunity to share your thoughts with the town board so that we can hear them, listen, process your input. So please, if you do speak, direct your remarks to members of the town board, not to the rest of the room or to other speakers. Please refrain from personal attacks and from outbursts of any kind, including applause, boos, or any similar disruption during the open forum. That's out of respect for the speakers and for everybody's time tonight. Also, out of respect for everybody in the room, we do not allow signs to be held during the open forum. We'll warn you if there's a problem with compliance with any of these rules. But if there's a repeated failure to follow the rules, your speaking time may be ended early, or you may even be directed to leave the meeting, or the open forum may be ended early. We don't have those problems, and I appreciate that, but that's because everybody comes in and follows the rules, and that is much appreciated. So, is there anyone here tonight that would like to speak to the town board during the open forum? Sir, yes, absolutely, come on up.
Good evening to the council, town council. My name is Paul Sanders. I live on Fair Meadow Drive, and I was here a week ago, I believe it was, at the public safety meeting, and I made some comments about the proposed local law to amend Chapter 13 of the Town Code with respect to demonstration of special events, and I just wanted to reiterate a couple of those things, and that is to give my thanks for myself and on behalf of the community for really coming up with an excellent, diligent answer to the concerns that have been expressed here as a result of the protests in February during dismissal time. And as I understand it, it's a permitting ordinance that's centered around town parks. And, so long as that includes 12 Corners Park, I think it's an excellent fix and an elegant solution. I spoke with the town supervisor, Mr. Mancuso, the town attorney, several board members, and I was really impressed with the determination that they showed, with the knowledge that they had about the issues, with their understanding of the challenge. And, they really looked at all the angles. They had deep knowledge of, both federal and local law, and, thought about obvious and unforeseen challenges that we will have to deal with by issuing this form of law or any other potential form of law, such as a buffer zone. And they really did their homework, and they really did their stuff, and I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. And again, the permitting scheme, I think, is a good solution because it enables the town to have notice of a special event or a demonstration so they can take appropriate precautions.
30 seconds.
It enables the town to consider public safety, and it enables law enforcement to have more tools if they need them, if there are demonstrations or special events that are unpermitted. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. I do want to note this proposed local law is on tonight's agenda. It is on only for the purpose of setting a public hearing, which would be held on June 26th at the June 26th meeting of the Brighton Town Board to consider the law and any possible amendments. That is the requirement, that is the procedure for enacting a local law under state law. We will also again be discussing the matter at our next Public Safety Committee meeting, which I think is June 12th. Do I have that?
That's correct, Supervisor.
Good. Got something right.
Second Tuesday of the month.
Second Tuesday of the month.
June 11th.
June 11th. See, I didn't get it right, doggone it. At 9 o'clock in the morning. So, so that'll be another opportunity as well to, give us some input. But the formal public hearing will be June 26th. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Come on up.
Hi, everyone. Mike Loeb, lifelong resident of Brighton. I wish I could say I was going to say something original and exciting, but I am simply going to echo Mr. Sanders' sentiments and thank you guys for taking what was said and taking prompt and appropriate action. I'm excited to see how this process unfolds. As I said the last time I was here, I'm on one side of this debate now, and time will only tell on the other side of it with regards to protests in the future. But I think it's fantastic and a great example to see how a town board responds appropriately to an incident and takes action to keep untoward events from occurring in the future. So I thank you all for listening. I have one other ever so minor notice that I actually don't want on the public record regarding the hearing about the trees. I'm going to go out on a limb, no pun intended, and guess that these trees are not 4 feet tall and 4 feet 4 inches tall, and that the double quotation marks should probably have been single. If you look at the printed info, I normally wouldn't be nitpicky about this, but since it is a matter of public record, I would guess that the silver maple at 94 Hampshire Drive is 48 feet, not 48 inches.
Actually, that is a reference to and there's a...
Oh, is it the width?
DBH, it is the diameter at breast
That makes
height.
much more sense. Thank
And
you.
actually, under our code, trees with a diameter of 30 inches or greater that are town trees, in other words, in the town right-of-way, not only are reviewed by our tree council and our arborist, but come to the town board for consideration before they are cut down. So that's a reference
Thank you.
to
I'm
the
thrilled to be
diameter.
educated about that. I appreciate it. Thank you all and have a great night.
Thank you, Mike. Is there anyone else that would like to speak during the open forum? Meredith?
I wanted to reiterate and echo our last two speakers, and really on behalf of the Jewish Federation, the community, to express the gratitude to the town board for listening for these months and to working in partnership to reach a solution that I think everybody feels really good about. Solutions don't always end up that way, but I think the legislation that's being proposed is really very well supported by the vast majority of the community, and I think the thought that went into really addressing public safety and the safety of our children was appreciated and incredibly thoughtful. And I know it took a lot of heads working together to make that happen. But John Mancuso, who did a great job writing the legislation, and to all the town board members for working together to make it happen. I know some of these meetings were a little difficult, but at the end of the day, I think we're all walking away with something that we feel really good about. And I just want to make sure that you understand how deeply we appreciate this, and especially, as I said at the safety committee meeting last week, I think the issue that many of us had was really the element of surprise when these demonstrations popped up and not feeling like we could be prepared. So with permitting, knowing that something is going to happen and being able to be prepared and allowing for the police and the parks to prepare, I think will make all of our lives much, much more pleasant for all kinds of reasons. So appreciate that, and we look forward to June 26th when this comes up for public hearing. So thank you.
Thank you, Meredith. Is there anyone else? Yes.
Hi, I'm Nelia, and I live in Brighton, and I'm hoping this is the last time I have to come to this meeting and wear this t-shirt. I'm a part of RAID, Rochester Against Impaired Driving, and I've been coming here because I want to keep the roads safe, and you guys are hearing us. I'm huge on safety and distractions for people on the roads, especially the new drivers and walkers and bikers and rollerbladers and whatever else. There's even one student who's on a unicycle, and I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's been long for us to continue talking about this, but I'm really appreciative of that. So hopefully we can continue moving forward with the demonstration of special events and permits that you guys are working on. So thank you again for everyone for listening and moving forward.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, I'm Chantal. I've lived in Brighton most of my life. I also basically want to say what she said and say thank you for new ordinances and letting us have more control and letting our kids feel a little safer. And thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board during the open forum? And I don't see anyone on Zoom. So Chris, can I have
We have nothing further.
motion to approve the agenda?
Open forum, I move to approve the agenda.
Second?
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Next, we have our one public hearing tonight pursuant to Chapter 175 of the Brighton Town Code, which is our tree law. As I was saying a moment ago, this relates to the proposed removal of certain listed town trees in the rights-of-way of certain town streets. Dan, has the necessary legal notice been given of this public hearing?
Yes, Supervisor, I believe that was in the April 29th edition of the Daily Record.
And Dan or Jim, has the notice also been given to the adjoining property owners as required by the tree law?
Yes, to my knowledge, all those letters went out.
Thank you. Then I declare this public hearing to be open. Public notice haven't been given as required by law. I would again note that you'll have the opportunity to speak here, or if you're participating remotely, please go to Zoom, use the raised hand function in Zoom, and we'll give you the opportunity to speak. The arborist reports and all of the photos of the trees are in your packet, and I direct that they all be entered into the record of this public hearing. Jim, is there anything you want to add before we take comment from the public?
No, not really. All of these trees have been through the process. You know, our arborist identified them for removal. They went through the conservation board. They supported that finding. So they are now here for this public hearing.
And just to be clear, I'll mention the specific trees. There's a 48-inch silver maple adjacent to 94 Hampshire Drive, a 39-inch silver maple adjacent to 36 Hollywood, a 50-inch silver maple at 241 Mayflower, a 50-inch silver maple at 53 Model Lane. Detect a pattern here. We have a long history with our silver maple trees. They are beautiful, but as they get large, they also get fragile. We have a 34-inch silver maple at 24 Terrytown Road, a 38-inch silver maple at 30 Terrytown Road, and a 36-inch Norway maple at 83 Terrytown Road. So those are the trees we're considering tonight. And I will ask, is there anyone here in the room that would like to speak about any or all of these trees during the public hearing? And I don't see anyone on Zoom either. If we have no one here wishing to speak, then I declare this public hearing to be closed. Christine, can I have a motion?
Yes, I move in the matter of the removal and replacement of a 48-inch silver maple at 94 Hampshire Drive, a 39-inch silver maple at 36 Hollywood Avenue, a 50-inch silver maple at 241 Mayflower Drive, a 50-inch silver maple at 53 Model Lane, a 34-inch silver maple at 24 Terrytown Road, a 38-inch silver maple at 30 Terrytown Road, and a 36-inch Norway maple at 83 Terrytown Road. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
Any discussion?
Bill, I just wanted to note that it's a little known fact, at least I didn't know it, that all of these trees are suitable to tap. And that I made quite a bit, several gallons of Frank's Finest maple syrup from a tree in my own yard, which is a silver maple. So it'll be a shame to watch these. Another reason why these trees are tough to lose.
But I will say we are going to be planting replacement trees, I believe, for each one of these, as we always try to do. Generally right as close as possible to the same location. Sometimes there's a reason for going somewhere else, but in general we will be planting. But Chris, don't plan on tapping those new trees anytime soon.
No, so no sugar maples.
No, no silver maples.
No sugar maples.
No sugar maples.
That's better.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comments?
Just also note, people can't tap town trees.
No, they cannot tap town
So
trees.
make sure, even though these are town trees, they're in the right of way, please do not tap them. We've had issues in the past.
And Dan, if you would call the roll on the motion.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye, and other than the communications you have with various of these items tonight, we have no other communications for the record. So we'll go to committee reports. Robin, Community Services.
Thank you, Bill. The Community Services Committee met last Wednesday, May 15th, and among the items we discussed were under continuing business, park issues. The vigorous return of the growing season has park staff playing catch up and keep up with field maintenance. Travel soccer season is open with a corresponding uptick in field usage. Based on expectations for upkeep, the town may have to consider implementing a fee schedule for travel teams using the field, regardless of resident composition of the team, to keep up with demands for maintenance. 4th of July contracts have been executed for approval of the town board. Both town lodges, Buckland Park Lodge and Carmen Clark Lodge at Brighton Town Park, have been booked out through the summer on weekends. Weekday dates are still available. This represents a return to pre-COVID usage patterns. Unfortunately, there was some vandalism at Buckland Park involving our naloxone kits, and Monroe County will be managing the replacement. An update to our recreation programs.
Sorry.
Right. Summer program registration is ongoing. Non-resident registration for the summer began on May 14th. The Recreation Department and programming is fully staffed for the summer. The Town Hall pool is being opened for the summer with many returning lifeguards. There's still some availability for new lifeguards to come on board, however. Gary Donofrio and Greg Pauline from our facilities department have been handling all of the opening procedures for the pool. This summer, it was slated to be the last summer that Town Hall pool will be open. Our concert series has been finalized. Events will feature Rita's Ice and potentially Cream Credible, which has been at the farmers market. Memorial Day details have all been set, and the ceremony will take place on May 27th at 2 p.m. The bike rodeo, in conjunction with the Brighton Police Department, will be on Sunday, June 9th. Brighton seniors were in attendance at the Lilac Festival on May 16th. MVP's Health Magazine published an article on the farmers market. If you are a subscriber to that insurance service, you may have noticed the glowing article about the health benefits of our farmers market. And there have been ongoing conversations about the move within Brookside School with our lesser, and the recreation study is still coming along. An update to our winter farmers market. We are determining the best layout for the summer market on the winter market grounds in anticipation of the unavailability of Brighton High School in the summer of 2025. Yoga at the Barn programming went well with over 50 attendees, 57 to be exact. We're working on a punch list items with Gary Donofrio, our facilities director, taking lead with contractors. And there has been discussion about other uses and development of a more direct connector trail from the Buckland House to the winter market site. An update to our Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board. Our Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month celebration was all set at that time. The celebration did take place on May 16th with Senator Cooney in attendance, as well as our speakers, Vic Vilku, Judge Vic Vilku, Dr. Christina Lee, and Dr. David from RIT. Hosted a very lively panel with interesting discussion, attended by our town supervisor and myself, and Miriam Moore, our DEI officer, and we thank all the members of the community that were able to attend and the wonderful panelists. June 14th will be the town's commemoration of Juneteenth this year, while July 12th will be our Pride flag raising event, and July 20th the town of Brighton will, for the second year running, take place in the Rock Pride Parade. We also had a discussion of the Idea Board's role and appearance in conjunction with Council Member on Your Corner at the Brighton Farmers Market, and a discussion of coordination of calendars for market and Idea Board recognition events. An update to our clean energy community priority actions and sustainability funds. Our application for the Climate Smart Communities recertification at the bronze level has been submitted. We did not have an update on our pollinator pathway challenge, but I do understand that there are updates. So Christine, did you want to
Very briefly, I can share the town of Brighton is participating in collaboration with Color Brighton Green in the countywide pollinator pathway challenge. There is information on the town website now explaining what the pollinator pathway challenge is and how one can participate. And bear with me one moment. You can find it at townofbrighton.org. On the landing page, there is a link under latest news taking you to the Brighton Pollinator Pathway Challenge information. It's a simple process. Read about what makes a good pollinator-friendly yard. Pull down a checklist and take a walk around your yard. Determine if you have many of the elements that support pollinators. Bring that checklist. If you hit, I believe it's 10 points on there, bring that checklist to the DPW, turn that in, and you get a beautiful pollinator pathway sign to display in your yard and to encourage your neighbors to join in on the challenge as well. There is a countywide map that shows if folks are willing, they can pin their property on that map, and we can see countywide the efforts that are that should encourage better pollination. Without pollinators, there is no food. So, and it's not that hard to hit those 10 points. So I encourage everyone to go to townofbrighton.org, take a look at the latest news items, and click on Brighton Pollinator Pathway Challenge.
Excellent, and I understand we have a number of applicants already in the queue, so it looks like it's off and running. And under items of new business, we discussed our 2024 Councilmember on Your Corner programming with dates to be coordinated with the IDEA Board and town council members, and also recognition of Caribbean and American Heritage Month. Upcoming events, we have our Memorial Day celebration or recognition, sorry, at Buckland Park Veterans Memorial at 1341 Westfall Road, Monday, May 27th at 2 p.m. All are invited to the Memorial Day ceremony. Parking is available at the Buckland Park parking lot. Our semi-annual electronics recycling and secure document shredding event will take place at the Brighton Highway Department parking lot, 1941 Elmwood Avenue on Saturday, June 1st, 9 a.m. to 12 noon. And our ever-popular bike rodeo will take place at the Brighton High School back parking lot, 1150 South Winton Road on Sunday, June 9th at 9:45 a.m. This is a free event, although registration is strongly encouraged. Come test your riding skills, get a bike safety checkup, and learn the cycling rules of the road. Of course, this event is sponsored in conjunction with the Brighton Police Department and the Brighton Recreation Department. We have great giveaways, including bike helmets, bike safety materials, and a bike raffle for those who are pre-registered. And participants must bring their own bike and be accompanied by an adult. Please do arrive on time, and full event details are available online. The next meeting of the Community Services Committee will be on Wednesday, June 19th at 9:30 a.m. or immediately following our Finance and Administrative Services Committee meeting at the Brighton Recreation Center.
Thank you, and I also just want to make sure, one additional sponsor of the bike rodeo, the Brighton Police Patrol Association.
Right.
And they're a generous sponsor of the event. It's a lot of fun. I always look forward to that. Finance and Administrative Services. Nate.
Thanks, Bill. The Finance and Administrative Services Committee last met on May 15th, and Mike, who's not here anymore for me to give him a hard time, stole my thunder. We listened to an audit report that I think, Bill, you highlighted was a perfect score. So again, props to Earl and his team for their diligent work, and props to the town board before I even got here for setting the roadmap for us to achieve that perfect score. We also talked about, let's see, actually everything else that we approved, Bill, is on the agenda, so I'm going to pass it right along. And our next meeting is on June 5th at 8:30 a.m. right here.
Thanks, Nate. Public Safety, Chris.
Thanks, Bill. We had our public safety meeting last Tuesday, the 14th. Brighton Volunteer Ambulance reported on 668 calls in April, 2,751 calls year to date. They're adding new staff and will soon get a new fly car for paramedic responses. They had a great open house on the 19th, and it was well attended. Brighton Fire Department reported on 845 calls year to date. They participated in the Little League Parade, and they also responded to a catastrophic house fire on Westfall Road. They also are preparing for the Winton Road closure from June 1st to June 2nd, which will affect their access. Also, they reported on a very successful female firefighter day, promoting female firefighters, and they got a very good community response. Brighton Police Department reported on calls for service through the end of April of 17,243 calls. They participated April 22nd through the 26th in the New York State No Empty Chair Enforcement Campaign. They had 63 traffic details on the road and had issued 32 uniform traffic tickets. April 27th was the DEA prescription take-back with 110 vehicles appearing and depositing 340 pounds of product. May 19th was the Lilac 5K and 10K where the Brighton police were well present. June 9th will be the bike rodeo, as Robin has already indicated. Henrietta Fire District reported on 284 calls in West Brighton year to date. No calls of significance, however, in West Brighton. They've got two new career firefighters in the academy due for graduation in June. We did discuss briefly our naloxone cabinets at all the town parks and here at Town Hall. Noted that several kits had been removed from them, which means they are being used in the community, which is why they're there. But we're very sad to report that the ones at Buckland Park have been vandalized and all the kits been destroyed. They will be replaced. Sadly, those are necessary items in the community, and they will be provided. We had to pass over the issue of crosswalks on Highland Avenue and Penfield Road as we're still finalizing our crosswalk policy for the town, but we're very close to adopting that. We also had a discussion of the proposed local law to amend Chapter 113, which is on the agenda for tonight, and we appreciate Paul and Meredith having appeared at the public safety meeting to discuss that as well. Our next meeting will be June 11th at 0800 here in the Town Hall auditorium.
Thanks, Chris. And the traffic, the road closure that Chris mentioned, that will be the diverging diamond. In other words, the Winton Road and 590 interchange, which will be closed not this weekend, but the weekend after Memorial Day. There will be detours posted, but and as you said, in particular, it's important our emergency services will have to deal with that. So,
including the ramps.
Including the ramps, yes, absolutely. So, as much as possible, just stay away from the area. Public Works, Christine.
Public Works had a lengthy and very full agenda. Our Public Works Department does not rest in the summer, so I will do my best to read the update here quickly, and I appreciate the very concise update for 3 hours worth of discussion. We had a very short report on Glen Road traffic concerns. Commissioner Sprague met with the residents to discuss their concerns, and they'll bring that back to the committee on at the June meeting. Our friends from Home Leasing presented on their proposed development at 1201 Elmwood Avenue. Developers, attorney, and engineer representing the project gave us an overview, mentioning specifically that this has been 5 years in the works, The street in the project will be a private street, but open to the public, and that is located in the city of Rochester, but it allows a pass-through to Science Parkway from Elmwood Avenue. The property where the buildings will be constructed, however, is in the town of Brighton. The proposal is for a total of 120 units of affordable housing, 40 townhouses, and 180-unit high-rise. And by high-rise, we're talking four stories. So high-rise in terms of Brighton. The buildings will be energy efficient and green buildings. The goal is to come as close to net zero as possible. A ground-mounted on-site solar array is included in the project. Currently, those are not allowed by code in Brighton, so that would require a variance. The project will require rezoning of the site, and the rezoning is in compliance with the Town of Brighton Comprehensive Plan, and we'll see more about that this evening. The project was previously reviewed under seeker and received a negative declaration. The submitted materials include the details of the requested incentives and offered amenities, and the developer has already met with the neighboring housing development and received positive feedback on the proposal, and a second meeting with the neighbors is planned. And town board members advise that the developers collaborate, push RTS for improved transit service on Elmwood to service that development. And they are in agreement that RTS would be a valuable service there if it ran more frequently. And the committee advised the developer to make an application to the town board to consider the project and keep the approval process moving. So we'll hear about that later this evening. We had an update on the 2024 local law for flood damage prevention. Town Engineer Hurley presented the new local law required by FEMA to cover the new floodplain map panel numbers that have been issued. The timeline is tight and complicated, but town staff are moving as quickly as possible to get the matter on the town board, which is also this evening, so that a date for a public hearing can be set. And I don't know if there's if the timeline has been straightened out further, if we're on track.
Yeah,
We should be in good shape.
Good. A lot happens in a week. In the matter of county sidewalk fund applications, there was further discussion of the town's plans to apply for the new Monroe County matching sidewalk funds, led by town engineers Hurley and junior engineer Roscoe. They noted that many of the locations that are under consideration will have heavy tree impacts. Many of the locations have narrow rights of way with little space to add sidewalks, which would require the acquisition of easements from adjoining property owners to place sidewalks in those locations. Other complications include drainage crossings, which are very expensive, walls, fills, and bridges without existing sidewalks. In those cases, existing grading would require walls or fills that would dramatically increase the cost incurred. A budget cost of $200 per linear foot is the average cost for a new 5-foot wide sidewalk in Monroe County. They reviewed a preliminary assessment of locations identified by the town board members as priorities. Each location has pros and cons. And the town engineers will move ahead by prioritizing the locations pursued based on providing improved routes to schools and connections to existing trails. The goal is to submit applications sooner rather than later in the hopes that we can assist the county in establishing standards for how the program will be administered. And so we will move ahead with securing funding for key spots within town. We'll see which ones work out to the best advantage. Town crosswalk policy is circulating amongst town board members and will be hopefully finalized at the June meeting. And updates on the town hall renovation project, which includes air conditioning. The design consultants are continuing their work. The project team is starting to consider the site aspects of the project, and the town is close to having a lease for a temporary office space. Can we say where,
Nope.
Bill? Nope. Fingers crossed that it will all work out and it will be the best possible alternative to being in town hall. In MCDOT projects, the most notable one right now is the Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road and Winton Road Preventive Maintenance Project. You've heard some about that tonight. Particularly the notice of the proposed road closure on May 31st for 2 days. And it's 2 days and nights. It is night work to move that along as quickly as possible. State projects, there are no updates on Monroe Avenue Corridor or West Henrietta Road Corridor at this time. Town project updates. The French Road Bridge Preventive Maintenance Project was presented by Ravi Engineering. It is a light rehabilitation project. The bridge is a concrete box with a center pier, which has seen limited maintenance to date. The concrete shows notable deterioration throughout the structure. We saw the list of deficiencies and needed repairs. A proposed detour has been presented, and when the project is underway, Greystone Manor management will be made aware of the detour as their site presents a potential shortcut of the proposed detour. And we will also ensure that the school district is aware so that transportation staff can plan for bus route adjustments during the project. And the project is anticipated for early fall, correct?
Yes.
So just in time for school. No update on clean energy communities at this time. The Multiversity Trail project, we had a brief update. Committee noted that the project, most of the materials neglect to indicate that it is the Multiversity Trail, connecting the 3 universities in our community. The first public information meeting held on May 9th was not well attended due to lack of advertisement. Communication in general will be improving. No updates currently on the Complete Streets policy. No updates currently on the Climate Smart Community recertification. The Bike Boulevard proposed for Oakdale through to the Winter Farmers Market location is still in progress, requires some coordination with the City of Rochester. Update on the East Avenue sidewalk at Knollwood Drive. The project is currently at the State Department of Transportation for review and approval. And we addressed 3 tree removals that were presented to the committee, and a public hearing was needed for 1 tree, and that request will be seen by the town board soon. It was not one that was on tonight. No. Those are coming next. So, in short, that was 3 hours. The next meeting will be held June 11th at 9 a.m. Certainly going to be a full agenda again. We hope that we won't take 3 hours of everyone's time.
Yeah, in short is not the way to.
But it's all good work that's happening, and we appreciated the updates.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. Nate, reading and approval of claims.
Earlier today, I reviewed claims totaling $833,840.55. Notable claims include payment to Colliers Engineering and Design in relation to that multiversity plan that Christine just talked about. Interesting enough, not related to the Star Wars universe. So just want to clear that up for the public.
The multiverse.
I've made that joke, 3 times now? Every time it gets better, I think. We also have payments, Mike mentioned earlier, the auditor mentioned earlier, that we had delays from some of the cars coming in. The good news is now some of those cars are coming in. We have payment for 2 2023 Ford AWD SUVs for the Brighton Police Department, payment for the 2024 Ford F-250 4x4 for the Parks Department. And there's also payment for asphalt patching and crack filler road surface treatment materials, because it's that time of year, right, Jim?
Yes.
Bill, the claims all appear to be in order, and I move for them to be approved.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye, and I'm going to stay with you, Nate, for these next 2 bond resolutions. Go ahead with the first one.
Yep. The next matter seeks to approve the issuance of bonds in an amount not to exceed $375,000 for the purchase of a plow truck for the Highway Department. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
These actually are prepared by bond counsel rather than by the attorney to the town, which explains their
John does so much here.
detail. But these two bonds we expect to issue later this year to fund, as you said, the plow truck and a loader with the plow package on the next one. We have a motion, seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye.
And the next matter seeks to approve the issuance of bonds in an amount not to exceed $293,000 for the purchase of for a loader. Did I get that right?
Yeah, there's an extra word in there, I guess.
Okay. With my lack of sleep, I didn't know if that was me or for a loader with plow package for the Highway Department. I move that we adopt the resolution as written before us.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. We have spent more time in the last few meetings talking about lease amendment, lease agreements for the cell tower at the Highway Department. Christine, if you would handle that next matter.
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an amended lease agreement with Crown Castle for a cell tower at the Highway Department facility. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
We've been working with them. Apparently the size of the equipment is a little bit bigger than they expected, so we've had to amend this lease a couple times. Hopefully this will be the fourth time will be a charm. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Nate, next matter.
The next matter seeks to approve the appointment of Clara Sanguinetti to the Planning Board. Bill, I move that we adopt this resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
And Clara is here. Thank you for volunteering. It means a lot when people step up and volunteer for these boards. We could not do so many of the things that we try to do without volunteers. So thank you for stepping up to do that. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye.
Glad you voted yes. That would have been very embarrassing. Everyone voted.
Everyone, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Clara. Congratulations. And look forward to getting big packets of interesting material from Jim's office. Robin, the next matter, please.
The next matter seeks to set a public hearing format for the removal of a 34-inch DBH honey locust at 340 Dunroven Lane. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
And that DBH is diameter at breast height, which is the way trees are. That's a standard measuring for tree diameter.
Your breast or my breast?
I'm not going to touch that with a 34-inch pole. We have a motion and a second. Any further on-point discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris, the next matter.
Bill, the next item is to accept the incentive zoning or rezoning application by Home Leasing and Providence Housing for the development of affordable housing and recommend that application be considered by the Planning Board. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Thank you, Chris and Christine, for the second. We do have the home leasing team here with us. Again, this is the very first step in our incentive zoning process, and under our law, all that we are doing tonight is making a finding that this project is worthy of further consideration, and when we do that, we refer it to the planning board for their initial review of the process. We've received a very full application, and I know this is a project that has had a number of challenges over time, not the least of which being that it is part of a parcel that is on both the city side of the line and the town side of the line. But we're glad to have this application in front of us. And is there anything that the team would like to share with us and the community? Thank you, Brett.
Sure, I'll just speak briefly. My name is Brett Garwood. I'm CEO of Home Leasing, and I live at 300 Dale Road here in Brighton. Home Leasing is partnering with Providence Housing to develop 120 units off of Elmwood Road, right along the town border. We are a family-owned and mission-driven organization. We're a certified B Corp, and we specialize in developing affordable housing that's part of something larger in a community, trying to be part of a bigger vision. And one of the things that excites me about the development here in Brighton is that it's been very clear in your planning documents that you really are seeking the type of housing that we're about to provide, a variety of housing types, and also it's very important to note very high levels of energy efficiency, all electric green building to help us achieve our climate goals. So we look forward to the process going to the planning board, and you will see a lot of information about our project soon. This has been slow going. It took us 2-3 years to get through the process of getting the road approved on the city side of the street. So we hope to be thorough but speedy so we can get this project underway soon. So I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Brett. Certainly, yes. The two things that jumped out at me that are, as you mentioned, conceptually we are very much conscious of how important bringing affordable housing to meet a need for that type of housing in the community. The two things that jumped out at me, you mentioned the high level of sustainability, coming close to a net zero building there, which will be very much in keeping with our sustainability goals, but also the fact that you have different sizes of units, in particular 2- and 3-bedroom units as part of this project. All too often, families who need affordable housing struggle to find units that have enough room, apartments that have enough room. So you are helping to meet that need. So kudos to that. We have a motion and a second. Any further comments? And again, the motion is to make a finding that this is worthy of further consideration and to refer it to the planning board. Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Miller?
Aye. And we also look forward to seeing you again as this process moves forward. Christine, the next matter, please.
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize the attorney to the town to investigate a potential land swap and make recommendations on the proposal. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
And we have discussed this in committee. It is a proposed land swap of land near the Deerfield Woods neighborhood, Schilling Lane, to facilitate a potential development of that land. We're not taking any definitive action tonight. Again, we're really making a finding that it's worth considering this. One of the things we have told the prospective developer is that it's going to be important to have an appraisal of these properties to make sure that this is a fair swap. To identify, for example, the value, they're proposing a trail connection to the existing Highland Crossing Trail. So we're going to look at this in the context of the overall values of the property and how it might serve to facilitate, again, needed residential development in that part of town. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Nate?
The next matter seeks to amend the budget transfer $6,000 from the Parks Department Corbett's Glen Maintenance Supplies account to the Buckland Park Maintenance Equipment account and transfer $2,741.66 from the Frankel Park Maintenance Supplies account to the Buckland Park Maintenance Equipment account for a new mower. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
You heard earlier tonight in the report about the challenges we face this time of year with the grass growing and in our playing fields, specifically our soccer fields. These budget transfers will facilitate the purchase of a mower that will allow us to, on these individual fields, do some clean cutting of those fields in a way that will be suitable for sports and particularly soccer use. As noted, this is an additional expense, and we're going to have to look at the implication of that going forward. But I do think this will meet a need. This is something that Matt Beeman, our park superintendent, supports. So we'll have a chance to move it forward tonight. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Bill, this will allow us to cut that grass even though it may remain somewhat wet. The heavier equipment just can't get out there without doing damage to the fields, and we need to use those fields.
But and again, I will say, our parks crew, they have been out there working hard, getting those fields in playable condition, but this will give them some equipment that'll help them do it, even better. All right, we have a motion and a second. If there's nothing further, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Robin?
The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into a stormwater maintenance agreement for the Quick Lease project at 1950 to 1966 Monroe Avenue and approve related documents. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Jim, anything you want to say about this?
This is a relatively standard agreement, or it is a standard agreement that will make sure that the newly constructed stormwater management practices are taken care of going forward as that property is redeveloped.
Good. Yeah, it requires them to make certain commitments to maintain stormwater drainage serving the site. And as you said, that's something we routinely require. Right. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Nate?
The next matter seeks to set a public hearing on a proposed local law known as a local law to amend Chapter 113 of the Code of the Town of Brighton with respect to demonstration and special event permits. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
Any discussion? Again, this is to set a public hearing that will be held before the town board on June 26th. Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. And our last matter of new business tonight, Chris.
Next item is to set a public hearing on a proposed local law known as a local law for flood damage prevention. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second?
Jim, we mentioned this in passing earlier, but this is a big bundle. If you could give us a little.
This is the local law that we are mandated to adopt by FEMA. And it really has nothing different than the existing law, other than FEMA changed the flood map panel numbers, which is forcing you to adopt a new law to incorporate those new numbers.
In excruciating detail. And if I recall, this will be taking place in plenty of time to meet what is it a July 31st or June?
I believe that's correct.
I think it's July 31st is our timeline. So with a public hearing that we're setting for June 12th on this, we will, I'm sure, satisfy that timeline easily. We have a motion. It's been seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Matters of the supervisor, we had a lot going on yesterday. We had a lot going on yesterday. I want to talk about one item, though, in particular. You no doubt saw in the news, but yesterday I attended a meeting of the County of Monroe Industrial Development Agency, which is also known as CMEDA. And at that meeting, the CMEDA board considered and ultimately approved a package of economic incentives to encourage Topgolf to locate in Monroe County, and specifically to locate right here in the town of Brighton. The proposed location is a 19 acres, slightly over 19 acre parcel in the general vicinity of Westfall and East Henrietta Road, but the parcel itself is actually landlocked. It does not border on either one of those streets, although it's sort of generally between that Costco, which is on the city side of the line, and the Sawgrass Drive medical offices. Topgolf is a golf slash entertainment slash food and beverage facility. It has about 100 locations now internationally. There's one location currently in New York State. That location is on Long Island. Physically, the closest locations are in Cleveland and Pittsburgh, both about a 4-hour drive away. At our last town board meeting, the town board unanimously approved the incentive zoning proposal for the Topgolf project. It approved the project subject to a number of conditions, but it also approved the project contingent on the developer agreeing to pay 100% of all town taxes that would be due to the town of Brighton. The CMEDA approval package will include a partial 10-year school and county tax abatement for the project. And I say partial because over that time, sort of the standard CMEDA payment in lieu of tax agreement, you'll hear it called a pilot agreement, is a 10-year long abatement where the percentage of taxes grows each year. So the first year they pay 10%, second year they pay 20%, third year they pay 30%, and so on. Currently, that parcel of land is vacant. It was formerly used, among other things. There was, materials that were dumped there. It will generate over those 10 years of the increasing pilot agreement, actually millions more in revenue to the county and the school district than it is generating as vacant land. Now, currently, it's generating about $35,000 a year to all three of those taxing agencies. And the company's projections estimate that it will generate somewhat over 200 full-time equivalent jobs. As I mentioned, they will be paying full taxes, town taxes, to the town of Brighton, and as a result, the approval of this project by Comida is very important financially to the town, but I think it's also very important from a quality of life perspective, from a buzz perspective, if you will. People are talking about this project. I think it's important to note that while there is a tax abatement on the school taxes, because it is commercial property, the property will not increase the burden on the school district at all. There won't be any new kids going to the Rush Henrietta School District. This parcel is in the Rush Henrietta School District, although it's in the town of Brighton. But it will generate over those 10 years over $1 million in revenues for the school district. I'm hearing a lot, during the last few weeks, as people have heard more about this project. I've been hearing a lot about it, a lot of social media buzz about Topgolf. I appreciate the leadership of Monroe County Executive Adam Bello and Monroe County Economic Development Director Anna Liss. Last year about this time, the PGA Golf Championship had just ended. To a certain extent, this project grew out of the PGA Golf Tournament as the county executive and the Visit Rochester and all the other economic development teams were planning the welcome to Rochester for Topgolf. There were some discussions, and the opportunity to land a Topgolf facility here, as I understand it, was part of those discussions. So it is now, a little over a year later, come to fruition with the action of the town board and now the action of Comida. I think one of the things we always hear about, we heard a lot about it, about the Whole Foods project, and actually there was very little traffic impact on that project, and there will clearly be very little traffic impact in the town of Brighton on this project, because the primary entrance to the site will be coming from East Henrietta Road in the city of Rochester. I suspect a lot of the traffic coming to the site will come from either 390 or 590, get off at the East Henrietta Road interchange. Literally, it's about a quarter of a mile from there to the main entrance, which is signalized into the Citygate project. Traffic will go through there to get to this facility. They are continuing to work on getting their final approvals. They were in before the Architectural Review Board yesterday afternoon, and with their expectation of starting construction later this year, they hope to open by the fall of 2025. So a lot of buzz on that, and more to follow. Matters of the attorney to the town. John.
Thank you, Supervisor. Nothing new to report. I would request an executive session to discuss 3 matters leading to the employment and promotion of particular persons, and 2 matters to discuss current litigation involving the Whole Foods Plaza and the Community Choice Aggregation Icon Energy litigation.
Thank you. We will do that. Matters of the town clerk.
Nothing this evening.
Matters of the town board.
I did just want to acknowledge everyone and thank everyone for their participation in the 2024 Brighton Clean Sweep over this past weekend. Perennially.
Especially the weather person.
Yes, it was a beautiful day. Rain held off, but it was not too sunny. So we had a great day out there. This is one of Brighton's most beloved events, and I want to thank everyone for coming out and to participate. Through our efforts, we were able to remove several tons of trash from our town's thoroughfares, byways, parks, and trails. This event is in its 19th year. And we're fortunate to have the continued support of a lot of community members, and I want to thank our monetary sponsors by name, the Office of State Senator Jeremy Cooney, the Office of Assembly Member Sarah Clark, Canandaigua National Bank, Waste Management, the Roselawn Neighborhood Association, Brighton Volunteer Ambulance, Brighton Fire Department, the Brighton Rotary, Brighton Chamber of Commerce, ESL Federal Credit Union, the Brighton Teachers Association, Transcontinental Properties, and we also want to thank our in-kind donors. Jersey Mike's provided us with $1,400 worth of subs.
Tasty subs.
Tasty subs that were well appreciated by the volunteers. Tops Markets provided us with wonderful donuts for breakfast, juice, and Starbucks provided us with coffee, and Bagel Land with delicious bagels. And I really just want to appreciate the community for coming out. This event, you know, we went through some lean years when we had to do an event that was partly remote, and it was you know, where we just drove through and picked up the bags and provisions. But, you know, this year we did show out in full force, and we have a great partner in the Brighton Central School District. They had a bus of middle schoolers that visited 3 sites and planted 18 trees at French Road Elementary School.
It's great talking to them.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you were taking pictures until I saw them.
Yeah, and Color Brighton Green is another one of our sponsors. Mitch Nellis, who is on our conservation board, on our sustainability oversight committee, and with Color Brighton Green. He assisted the students in planting those trees. It was just a great day all the way around. And we recently completed our MS4, the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System Stormwater Program audit review by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. And over the course of the years with these recycling events, including our electronics recycling event, we have removed 390,293 pounds of material. And with our secure document shredding event, we've removed a total of 304,778 pounds of material. And with our pharmaceutical take-back event, we've removed 51,827 pounds of material. And so over the course of time, these community recycling events really do make an impact. And so we thank the community for their participation.
Thanks, Robin. And since you mentioned that MS4, big shout out to Ken Hurley, who just did a great job managing. Anytime you hear the word audit, you know you really got to drill down, and he did spend a ton of time preparing. Fortunately, I had to be in the room for only about 20 minutes of that audit, but Ken spent days and days preparing, spent the whole day with both DEC and county people, and we got a great report from that audit. So job well done, Ken, and by the whole department.
Thank you.
Speaking of thanks, thank you to our ASL interpreters. We appreciate having you here at all of our meetings. And can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters of employment of particular people, as well as the 2 matters of litigation relating to the Whole Foods Plaza and the CCA litigation? Can I have a motion?
Bill, I move that we go into executive session to discuss those matters of employment and litigation, as indicated.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. I do not anticipate that we'll be coming back out into public session after the executive session. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We will be back with you in 3 weeks on June 12th. Have a great evening, everybody.
You need me, do you?